Hi, what up, mother truckers? BP Hero coming back at you here and doing something a little bit different. Doing a 2022 bat tonight, and it is the Easton Fireflex One Piece. And I was kind of on the fence about doing this one. It was getting a little bit of hype, and then I saw this review on Easton's website. It says, Tantrum who? Do not sleep on this bat. Great pop out of the wrapper, and it's getting better with every swing. So it kind of caught my attention and got me thinking, like, what is the hype about? I saw some other people talking about these things, had a couple people offering to me to swing. So I took my guy Dan up on the offer to swing one of these. Let's see what we got. It is now. Don't be nervous. Wind's blowing in.
How's that affect me giving the intro though?
Because you might not hit as many dingers.
Well, but now my lips won't flap in the wind. You know what I mean? If it was blowing the other way. So we have the Easton Fireflex 12.75 barrel one piece loaded. Here it's gas. Let's try it out.
Do you think it's a little down toward... And so first things first, big shout out to our guy Dan Calicott for getting us this so we could check it out for you guys. Dan's been a huge supporter of the channel, been a friend of mine for a long time, been in a lot of videos, watches a lot of videos. He's a guy that doesn't buy a bunch of bats. So when a bat gets his attention, there's probably got to be a reason why. Got a little bit of hype going with these things. So when he picked one of these up, he actually went ahead and bought a second one just in case the hype caught on and they were still cheap. So he sent us this 2022 Easton Fireflex one piece to check out. Back here in Columbia, Missouri at Old Atkins Park, 300 feet all the way around with a monster and left. You all know the deal if you've seen enough videos by now. About a 70-degree day, and naturally, the wind's blowing in about 5 to 10 miles an hour for the whole video. You hit anything in the air and it just stands straight up. It was kind of a miserable day to try and hit a ball far, and that's kind of what we were wanting to do with this thing. We hit nothing but hard balls for this video because the kind of thing that we've been hearing is they need to be broke in, they need to be hit with hard stuff, and they need to be hit a lot. So we threw every hard ball we had at it. Deadly Thunder ZN Pro M's, some NSA 44 400s, Evil BP rockets. If it was in the BP bag and it was hard, it got thrown at this thing. It was brand new when we got our day started here. And this specific model is a 27 ounce, and these feature a ½ ounce of end load. And I did feel it did swing true to weight. Nice and smooth, not too sludgy, not anything like that. Although I will say that with a full ounce of end load in this thing, it would have been absolutely lethal. Obviously, you've caught on by now, this is a one-piece bat. There's no specs or anything that I could see that's mentioning what barrel or what handle or anything this stuff uses. It's stiff, I can tell you that. This is definitely not any kind of Tantrum technology, especially since, one, this was last year's bat, and two, this wasn't anything that they were using and then made better. The handle in this thing was extremely stiff, and the Tantrum's handle was really flexy, and the Tantrum barrel was really soft, and the barrel in this thing was really stiff. It was a 12-inch barrel, and it also did differ from the Tantrum in that way, where the Tantrum is a 12.75. And it wasn't terrible out of the wrapper. It definitely took a minute to get going, and it was a little bit inconsistent even as it broke in. I left some of these swings in here where you'll see, like, we'll hit a ball on the screws and it just comes roaring off of there. And then the next handful of swings might be something that's okay performance but not great, but then you'll see another couple just come roaring off of it. And it was because of the sweet spot on this thing. Because the sweet spot is basically right where the color transitions in the bat from blue to yellow. The whole thing was kind of decent, don't get me wrong, it wasn't anything game-changing. And this one spot was a very small spot, but if you did hit it there, it was literally like an on and off switch. It was okay performance, and then just, I mean, absolute rocket off the bat. It's kind of frustrating that there was no in between, but if you could find out a way to live on that spot, it was just laser city for sure. But I mentioned the compression tester and that stuff, so let's head over to that and check some of that stuff out really quick, and then we'll come back to the field. So getting things started on the compression tester here, this thing was coming in at basically 275, which was kind of what we were expecting. Most of the 240 Easton stuff does come in around the mid 270 range. And then here we are after about 150 swings with all that hard stuff, sitting at basically 265. So it didn't drop much. The performance did definitely get noticeably better in that 10 pounds of compression. And while we're here, like I said, let's look at the sweet spot real quick. So here is the part of the bat is what we found to be usable. And then here's the spot that I was talking about that is basically like an on and off switch. If you can manage to live in this one spot, it is just absolutely absurd. One, the difference in performance, and two, the performance in general that you get out of this bat. It's almost like hitting two different bats. And as our second round went on here, I could definitely tell that this is going to be something that's going to be a lot of fun to swing at, like the 500 or 600 swing mark, and I'd like to revisit it around then. But even at this swing count here, this thing was still a pretty good bat. I will say that the on and off switch type sweet spot was kind of an interesting thing to fight, but we had a lot of fun swinging this thing. It's no doubt that this thing was honestly top level performance when it comes to hitting that small spot. If you could live on it, you would just get a lot of really good swings out of it. But if you're not someone that can strike a ball in that spot and do it consistently, this isn't going to be all that fun of a bat for you to swing for a while. But like I said, I'd like to see what it's capable of when it breaks in. I do think that I'll say, second sweet spot will grow and get better. How big, I can't tell you that for sure without swinging it to know. But as cheap as these things were, and they're still relatively cheap right now, and this is definitely a good bat for the money, especially kind of going into the wintertime. If you're looking to really accelerate the break-in process on this thing, I'm not going to go out and say that this is something that I would spend a lot of time taking winter BP with, just from the price point of it's still a smidge on the expensive side, in my opinion, to be using for a BP bat, just going off the price that these are available for right now. Honestly, you'd probably be hard-pressed to find me spending over $80 on a BP bat. But if you're looking to accelerate that break-in process and game it through the wintertime, if you still play somewhere where it is cooler and you're still able to play on the fields or get it ready for next season, this is definitely something you're going to have to consider picking up. Because while it was not One Piece Tantrum type performance, there was no doubt that this thing was gas if you could live on that spot. So circling back to kind of our intro there, where Homeboy was saying Tantrum who, the Tantrum's still it, man. The Tantrum is still the play for the very, very top tier of performance when it comes to this USSSA stuff, but still in its own category. But we'll see if anything else can catch up when the 2024 stuff starts rolling out. Is this one definitely a contender to kind of bump around in the top of the list there somewhere with some of the other performance stuff? Yeah, for sure. No doubt about that. But I do think that comparisons of this to the Tantrum are just maybe a bit far-fetched. I'm not going to lie to you. But that's it for this one, though, guys. Thanks for stopping in and checking it out. Thanks for Dan for sending this to us. Thanks to Dylan and Brian for coming out and getting some swings in on this thing so we can see what it's about. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Going to be slowing down here a little bit for the wintertime. Still going to be some content coming, though. I promise you that. So if you haven't already, be sure and go down below and hit that subscribe button and check that content out when it gets posted. Swing hard in case you hit it. And I'll see you then.
Don't touch mine. That's right. Dad's got to figure it out now.
Oh my God.
Dad.
Woohoo!
Hey, go Jesse!